extend a very warm welcome to all the students and their parents who've taken out time to join us for the session today. Before we start, I'd like to request all of you to please keep your microphones on mute. A brief introduction to you about NIIT University. NIIT University, or NU, is a not-for-profit university notified by the government of Rajasthan and set up in 2009. The university inherits more than 3 decades of rich expertise of the NIIT group, nurtured by some of the foremost thought leaders and corporate practitioners of the country. The multidisciplinary university focuses on emerging areas of technology and management. It is located in a 100-acre campus at Neemrana and is about 90 minutes away from the international airport in Delhi. Nestled in the Aravali Hills, this fully residential green campus offers a vibrant environment for pursuing higher education and research. Students have an active life in the campus. They manage 21 student-run clubs that exist at the campus, ranging from robotics to photography, music to adventure. Clubs that organize multiple fun events all around the year and many opportunities like tech and non-tech fests and competitions. That brings us to today's topic of discussion, which is about course options for BTech engineering degree programs at NIIT University, the various streams available at NU, its specializations, how to choose them, career prospects, and any admission-related queries. Today's speakers are four prominent members from the technology wing of NU. We have Professor Sudeep Sanyal, who's Dean of Engineering and Technology, Professor Soumyadeep, who's Area Director Biotechnology, Professor Ishwaran, who's Dean of Industry Collaboration and Professor Computer Science, and Professor Vikas Upadhyay, who represents ECE and is faculty in charge of Center of Innovation, Incubation, and Entrepreneurship. We also wanted you to get a 360-degree view of what NU represents when it comes to engineering. Hence, we also have in this session our alumni students who will talk about their experience at NU and how the BTech degree helped them in their career aspirations. They'll be happy to take on questions during the session. And I also request them to introduce themselves briefly when they begin to speak. We have three alumni today. We have Ayushi Jain, who is BTech Computer Science. We have Prajwal, BTech ECE, and we have Shumili De, who is BTech Biotechnology. We've been receiving many questions from you, and I've categorized them across sections. They'll be taken during the evening today. Our speakers will be happy to take on additional questions. My request is for you to type these questions in the chat box window on the right side of your screen so that we can address them as we go along. For today's session, I'm requesting you to please keep your questions restricted to the BTech degree program and its course options at NU. And last but not the least, many of you may not actually have had the chance to visit our campus. So we thought, what better way than to bring the campus to you? So as you'll notice, some of us have a background view of our favorite spot on campus for you to see, and we'll be describing that in a bit as we speak. My background, by the way, is that of the reception driveway, the first point where you'll get off from your vehicle to enter the NU campus. With this, let's get straight to the questions. And my first question, let me start with Professor Ishwaran, who represents the industry collaboration and is the Dean for Industry Collaboration and also represents the Computer Science department. Professor Ishwaran, NU has a very unique concept of industry practice. So why is it unique and why is it considered a strong foundation for our students at NU?
Yes, there are three reasons why we have adopted this practice. And fundamentally, we have seen that when students graduate after a 4-year course, they take some time to get used to the industry environment, the new organization they step in, and they are not so familiar with the practices within the industry. After they have learned from the academia, they need some time to get used to the actual industrial practice. And that takes a time for them. So what we have done here is that we have said that let the students work with the organization in this 8th semester, which means for 6 months, they'll actually work in different organizations. And this gives two unique opportunities. It gives an opportunity for the students to look at the organization. An organization, a unique opportunity to study the student and understand him. And usually we find that this is a very, very symbiotic relationship. Within 3 or 4 months of using the industry practice, nearly 70 to 75% of the placements are done at that point because they are quite happy with the students because they have seen them from close. And this is the reason why we have introduced this practice, and it has been very successful as we have in our experience.
Okay, that's very interesting. Dr. Sudeep Sanyal, I've got many people in the audience, and let me start with this most important question. Which is the best branch in BTech? And as Dean of Engineering and Technology, how would you pick on that?
That is actually a very difficult question. I mean, how can I say which is the best? All are very good. So, whether you talk about the way things are interesting, so you have got different specializations in each branch. And for example, in computer science, you have got specializations like machine learning, artificial intelligence, data mining, etc., cybersecurity, which are all at the cutting edge today. Similarly, for biotechnology, for EC, every branch, you have got these specializations. So, and personally, I find all of them equally interesting. And that is why in NU, we encourage a lot of multidisciplinary work, whether it's in terms of research or whether it is the projects that students do. We very often encourage this sort of interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach because you see, ultimately an engineer is supposed to go and solve real life problems. At the end of the day, that is what an engineer has to do. Now, when a problem comes to you, it doesn't come with a label which says that I'm from computer science or I'm from electronics or I'm from some other branch. The problem doesn't have any label like that. And quite often it's a mix of things that builds up the complete solution. So according to me, all branches are equally important. Though, of course, today, as of right now, I think computer science is more popular, but that's partly because of the fact that placement opportunities are slightly better in computer science. But the remaining ones also have a lot of scope. And as our students are already finding out, even EC or biotechnology students are having very good placements also. So that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sanyal. My next question comes in from Samiksha in the audience, and Professor Shaumadeep, I'd like you to please answer that. Samiksha wants to know what are the fields that can be opted for after doing a degree in biotechnology.
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, and actually it is a lot of curiosity. Students have this lot of curiosity about the same thing. So basically, when you complete your biotechnology degree, so there are two directions in which your particular, like the career mainly gets spanned out. So the one can be in the direction of academics, and another one can be in the direction of the industry. So in case of academics, we want to mean like you can go for a higher studies, like in case of the MSc or the MTech courses. So if you complete a BTech courses, automatically you will be going for a like a MTech courses, and further you can proceed to the PhD. So there are numerous examples also in our cases where students have completed their BTech from NU in biotechnology, and they have got directly like an opportunity to work into any of the PhD projects which are there in like some foreign universities. So that is one direction where you can span out your research, and also you can span out like in the academic jobs further. And another direction comes the industry. So basically many of the BTech students who are there, they are very much interested to join the industries. And here we have like there are industries from the point of view of food industry. There can be industries like the beverage industries which are there. There can be the pharmaceutical industries, and nowadays, you know, you can look into this particular scenario of the COVID-19 situation, where you can see that the biotechnology applications are such a huge number that even the recruitment and all the things has gone up, and they are working with this particular virus and development of different type of these vaccines. So the industry also has an equal opportunity, and in industry what we have seen for the current batches and the previous batches is there are a lot of options. Like you can go for like any kind of marketing jobs, you can go for any kind of like specialized job in biotechnology. Also you can go for some R&D jobs which are there, and also manufacturing sectors. So depending on that, we have divided like different type of the specializations which are there, and based on that expertise the students choose their job. So there are two directions. One is for the academics and another one is for the industry. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Vikas, the next question is with the flavor of ECE, and Bharat in the audience is wanting to know that what facilities in college are important for ECE students?
So as applicable in all engineering, EC in electronics and communication engineering branch also, the labs play a major role here. So that way, you know, whatever topics are being covered in the theory needs to the student needs to go there and then design circuits if it is belongs to the hardware section, or do some practicals related to communication. So at an IIT university, the labs that we offer, which are the state of art, and that is the workshop practice lab to begin with, which I believe that in most of the IITs also, they are not having that work, that designing of the PCB, which is where everything begins in electronic circuit design. Afterwards, we are offering many labs in the VLSI embedded system area that belongs to hardware, or in the communication area. So that is about the lab part. Also, one needs to understand that the lab is not just for the sake of offering practicals, but a student needs to go there and then design the circuits on their by their own hands. And that is what we practice at an IIT university. That is, the circuits are not bought from the market, and then you need to just plug in the wires on the input side and output side and test the system. But we encourage the student to design the circuit from the scratch. So everything starts with the breadboard and then goes to the PCB design, and then the testing part comes in. The last thing that I would like to highlight would be about the project work. So these labs provides the foundation for students to work on different project activities, which Professor Sanyal also mentioned, very crucial. And we offer multiple disciplinary project where all disciplines comes together. So that is another thing that one should explore. So, and to end this, I would like to add that it is once the projects are being finished, then these projects becomes the foundation for any student to think on their side. That is, are we ready to explore the area of entrepreneurship? That is where the startups also comes in. And so if a student is having any innovative idea in the hardware software section, may like to take it forward, and university is having its own separate center established, providing all facilities which are required to convert that idea into a state-of-art product.
So as you're talking, Vikas, I've got two questions from the audience specifically asking about the scope of EC. I think you have already detailed that in your answer, but what are the kind of career options and what specializations are existing at NU for students who will choose ECE as a subject?
Right. So let me start with the area of specialization, then I'll take it on to the what are the scopes afterwards. So at NIT University, we offer 6 different specializations in ECE area, which starts with communication and signal processing, then wireless communication, which is where this is 4G and upcoming 5G technology is the major focus. VLSI and embedded systems, robotics and IoT specialization, and then moving towards the final one, that is renewable energy and electrical vehicle design. We also offer, as I said, there are 6, so 5 I just now named. The 6th specialization provides a flavor of merging 2 branches, that is electronics communication and computer science engineering, and that is the data science program. So any student who is going till 5th semester in EC may like to opt for data science from 6th semester onwards, so gets the knowledge of both areas. So that is about specialization. Now, addressing the first query that was afterwards. So completing the BTech, then what students are likely to do. So as Dr. Soumyadeep mentioned, that is generally the students prefer two areas. One, going towards the academic side. So a student like to pursue their higher education, maybe MTech from India or MS and PhD from abroad. That is one, or it is directly joining any industry or the organization. Also, students are these days, in our experience, students are third part is coming out, and that is joining research organizations. Not only working in the industry, but working in the research environment. And I hope everybody, what would be the scope of EC? Let me talk a little about that. So as the current scenario, and I hope everybody is keeping track of news that what is happening from industries are moving out of China and India. The current government is providing good scope and opportunity for these industries to come and set up their manufacturing plant. Not only in electronics area, but communication sector also is going to evolve as 5G technology is going to come in. Apple recently announced that it may want to come to India and then establish another manufacturing industry. So there are various scopes which are available in EC, and just now as I highlighted. Yeah.
Thank you, Vikas. Tanvi in the audience is keen to know, for doing software engineering, which specialization to choose. Professor Sanyal or Professor Ishwaran, could I direct this question to you, please?
Okay, Professor Ishwaran, you would like to take
it? So when you do computer software engineering, there are quite a few options you have. So one, of course, is to look at the very hot topic which everyone is talking about, is about artificial intelligence and machine learning, which essentially talks about understanding meaning out of patterns of information which come across the organization, and look at and see, can we leverage that information in a very productive manner. It involves a bit of mathematics as well as understanding the business domain in a very sharp manner. The second specialization people are really interested in is all revolving around data, how to marshal data, how to take data and store it for the organizational purpose. So you have two things, one about data science and data engineering. Data engineering is about the actual plumbing work which you do, bringing in the data, cleaning it up, and storing it in a manner which can be easily accessed by everyone and anyone out there. And data science talks about how to understand relationships between the data elements and the business requirement in such a fashion that real value of that business comes forth and the data can support it accordingly. That is the third thing. And of course, there are other things which have been around for a while, which is an IoT. IoT is a Internet of Things, and we are looking at programmable small devices. And these days, IoT is there almost everywhere around you. Washing machines, refrigerators, your car, everywhere there are IoTs, and that's a big thing. Your mobiles, for example. So these are some of the major areas people can go to. Of course, traditional software development, project management, those things are anyway there. But I also talked about the specializations. Professor Sanel, you can add if you want.
Thank you.
Okay, and so thank you, Professor Ishwaran. Now, just to add a little bit, what you have is that when you're talking about software engineering per se, quite often what you have in mind is software development. And in software development, that is something which is always taught. Any decent computer science program anywhere in the world will actually teach you the software engineering part as a core area. And on top of that, at any particular age, just teaching a theoretical paper doesn't really lead to much of a learning. That's something that we have realized over time. And so we also offer projects, and a lot of them. Every student actually does numerous projects as they go along, as they complete the course over here. And when they do that, they actually learn to apply those concepts that they learn theoretically. They apply it in their projects, and they finally learn why that whole area called software engineering is also a very important area. Because I may or may not be doing machine learning or data science, but I always need to do my software engineering in the sense that the software needs to be developed. And it goes beyond those algorithms that you learn. There are a lot of other things which happen which is very necessary, which is very necessarily a part of software engineering, even though it may not be a part of your AI or data science or IoT or anything like that. So, but that is something that students learn to appreciate over here because they do a lot of projects. And when you do a project, actually you understand why there was a certain line in your syllabus on software engineering course. So that starts making sense when you do those projects. So, okay, that is your traditional software engineering where you're talking about software development.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks. So I have Ayushi with me as one of our speakers, and Ayushi, you are an alumni from NU. You're a BTech computer science graduate. You joined us in 2014 and graduated in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And now you're working with the global giant IBM as a data scientist. So now, I just bring this same question back to you, that what does it really mean to be a data scientist?
Actually, it's all, as the name suggests, it's all about data. But the reason why I chose data science as my area of concentration was because through the projects that I had did in my BTech, I found I was inclined towards data and how I was looking at the market, and I saw that there was a lot of scope in this field. Partially because of that, as a data scientist, it ranges on a lot of things, like dealing with data, like just the big data part, or maybe delivering software, industry level solutions for using that data, and extracting insights from that data and delivering software around that area. So that's what I have been working in IBM, and there are much more applications in the field of data science. And what my inspiration is, like, I have personally experienced this fact that with a solid background of computer science and a solid background of software, it's really a very good added advantage in the field of data science. Although it's not a requirement, but it's definitely a very good added benefit. According to my experience, that is what I have observed.
Thank you, Ayushi. And while you were speaking, I have Amog Goyal from the audience who wants to know what's going to be the scope of data science in the next 5 to 10 years. And from an IBM's perspective, I think you're going to be the best person who can answer that.
From IBM's perspective, or from the experience that I have gained so far, the implementation of the scope is just increasing with time, and it goes hand in hand with cybersecurity as well, because as the amount of data is increasing day by day, so the solutions to handle this data and the solutions to take insights out of this data is also increasing day by day. So it's really, according to me, the scope is only increasing, and there are a number of solutions that needs to be implemented, but due to some more research needed, these are still pending research topics, but then the scope will only increase, according to me, in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Ayushi, again, while you were speaking, I have Mayur and I have Arnab from the audience who want to know that what are you judged on during the interview? Is the course more important, or the college more important, or marks? So I think what our students are curious to know, that how did you, what really happens in a campus interview? What are you judged on?
So that is a very good question, because ultimately you look for the placement.
Absolutely.
So as far as IBM placements, or generally what I saw as a student in my entire batch, the minimum criteria to sit in the aptitude test, that was the first level of round, that screening process, the CGPA requirement was 6.5. But per se, there are a lot of other companies also which came where requirement was 8 CGPA and 8.5 as well. So it totally depends on, as far as the CGPA is concerned, it totally depends on the company that you're aiming for, which obviously NIIT helps you prepare for. They already give you all the instructions and all the companies that are going to come. Apart from that, the interview process, I would not say it will look at your big data marks, or your area of concentration was data sciences, or they'll look at the marks and they'll straight away give you your job. They during my interview, they asked me questions of probability, questions of math background, because if you're choosing data science, you already have that in your back of your mind that math is something that is important for you. So my interviewer asked me questions about probability. They asked me questions about the project that I have worked on. That was very important then. And apart from that, they asked me some questions that were basic information that as a computer science engineer, you should be aware of, all the basic concepts of the courses that you have done, and all the, be it area of concentration or be it any other course. So they majorly focus on how good your foundation of all the subjects are. And it's not just marks, it's not just the knowledge, it's a kind of a combination of both.
Okay.
Thank you, Ayushi. Thanks for your answer. Professor Shaumideep, I have Charan from the audience who wants to know what's a better course to choose and what's the difference between a BTech in biotechnology and a BSc in agriculture. Which degree does NIIT University offer?
Okay, you have to understand that both these courses, which is biotechnology courses, it can be possible that you can have a BSc degree or you can have a BTech degree out there. Okay, but the thing is that like if you are getting a BSc degree, which is basically a science degree, so in that you will not be so much aware of the technicality which is present and which actually the industry as well as the researchers are looking for. Like if you are, for a small example, if you are given to develop a vaccine out there, you need to know that how you need to engineer them. So that is a very important thing. And based on that, like if you take up a BTech course in like BTech in biotechnology, then automatically you have an added advantage of like reading or going through a vast lot of courses which may deal with your mathematics, which may deal with different type of like the fermentation technologies which are there. There can be like courses which deals with the immunology part. There can be courses which mainly deals with the medical biotechnology part. So you will be having a combination of a huge amount of the courses which will be there, which will actually give you an idea that what you are aiming at. Like if you want to go for a research, if you want to for a industry, you will be very much competent enough to be answering such kind of questions which usually a BSc people cannot, because the thing is that the BSc peoples will be confined to a particular syllabus which is there, and that syllabus is not enough to nowadays to get a particular job out there. And another information which is very important is that if you get a BTech degree out there, so it is an equivalent of the MSc degree which is present. So when you do for a BSc, you have to do a BSc, then you have to go for a MSc. But if you do a BTech, automatically you will be eligible to go for any kind of masters and also directly to the PhD programs. So in and around, you can apply for directly for the PhD programs which are there, and also from the point of view of the industry, the job or the placement which you will be getting after your BSc is very, I think it is very negligible compared to that what kind of job you can aim at after completion of your BTech. And also BTech helps you to get a career where you can shift into like different type of like fields. Like if you are interested in bioinformatics, then automatically competing your courses in bioinformatics, you can move into any of these software companies who are dealing with such kind of bioinformatics softwares. Or from the marketing point of view, you can move into have an MBA degree and go for a marketing placement, the job. And also from like if you know that basics, that how fermentation technology works, how the bioreactor engineering is carried out, and how you engineer all the cells which are present. So it will be added advantage from your point of view that if you have a BTech degree in the overall scenario. Yeah, that's it.
Professor Shaumideep, since many of our students who are in the audience are all from class 12, I have a few questions that are coming in which want to know what are the subjects that one needs to have in class 12 to apply for a BTech program in biotechnology at NIIT University.
Okay, so yeah, that can give us a flavor of what NU has installed for all the new students who will be enrolling. If you like, we get students from all the varieties. Like they can have a combination of physics, chemistry, and mathematics without a biology, or they can have a combination of like physics, chemistry, and biology, and they don't have a mathematics out there. So we accept all the students who are having such kind of combinations, but physics, chemistry, and obviously biology or mathematics, any one of them should be there in your like the combinations which you have chose in 11th and the 12th standard. What to do with like this two type of the students? So the first year which is there, in that we actually have the courses which are very basic to the engineering program. Okay, now there can be, so if you are aiming at a course which is known as the BTech biotechnology, so it is a BTech course. So obviously you need to have some basics of the mathematics, because in the third year and the second year you may be getting some of the courses which actually deals with some of the mathematical ideas. So in that case, we provide like the people who mainly come with a background of PCB, that is physics, chemistry, and biology. So we provide them a refresher course with a remedial mathematics, which basically aims at covering up of the courses which they have missed out during the 11th and the 12th. So it is just a refresher of whatever the courses are there. Then finally, when they complete those courses, they were competent enough to take up any of these courses which deals with the mathematical ideas during the second and the third year. Now with the PCM students, that is a physics, chemistry, and mathematics combination students who are there, they don't have a biology, so they don't have an idea that what they have missed out in 11th and 12th in their biology. So we have certain courses which are known as the remedial biology. So previously it was a cell biology, now we have renamed it as a remedial biology. So it will give them the idea that what are the courses, what actually they have missed out in 11th and 12th, and finally they can take up those courses, learn the biology, and move on with their courses in the second year. That those will be the main basic or the core courses which are there in biotechnology. So we accept students from all this background, and many peoples are there who actually are from the biology background, and they are very much worried about their mathematics and all these things they have to do. But absolutely believe me, that is not any problem, because this mathematics course is very light in nature. And if you can have an idea, and the student who don't have mathematics, they also have pursued these courses very easily, and they have got a very good grades out of that, and they are very confident about their mathematics nowadays. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Soumyadeep. That's very helpful. And now that we've heard from you the academic side of the BTech biotechnology program, we also have an alumni with us, Shumili De. Shumili, you graduated with a degree in biotechnology from NIT University, and you are the batch which is graduating this year, I believe. And you already have a job as a market research specialist at an organization. So from a student's perspective, tell us that one, how did NIIT University give you that research bent of mind and help you get into the career of your choice? Shumili? Do we have Shumili with us? Not an issue. We'll come back to Shumili. So I also have another alumni with me, and parallelly, I get a lot of questions in these webinars that we keep doing with students and parents. And robotics is this area of immense interest to the students of today. So I have Prajwal with me. Prajwal, you graduated with a degree in ECE from NU, and you were from the batch which graduated last year. And you're currently working as a robotics engineer. So tell me about that with a qualification in ECE, then moving into robotics, what was the role that NIT University play, and how did we prepare you to, nurture this passion?
Okay, so currently in my field, so when you talk about robotics, robotics is a completely interdisciplinary segment where you have people working on data science related tasks. There are people related to embedded, mechanical, electrical, every field. So robotics as a whole domain, it's an interdisciplinary purpose. And during my study at NU, so I had my specialization with data science. So when I was trying to find a job during my IP, so it was very helpful for me since I had a background of EC as well as data science. So that gives me an edge over writing algorithms and developing stacks for modern robotic applications such as self-driving vehicles, etc. And it's actually helpful to have interdisciplinary domains being provided to you in the BTech level itself, which I had an opportunity to take up. So right now we get to work on both robotics, and when I say robotics, there'll be problem statements relating to data which you are getting from your robotic arm or robotic systems, and then you might have to analyze them and you might have to again give it back. So as a whole, there is no such specific domain as robotics, but it's just a mixture of multiple interdisciplinary applications. And having a EC background gives you a better edge since you know the hardware at very best. And at NU, I also got to test in the robotics club. We usually perform lots of experiments, which actually helped me out to get a better idea during my BTech program itself.
Okay. Thank you, Prajwal. I think we have Shumili back here. Could we unmute her, please? Shumili, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear
me?
you.
So Shumili, my question to you was, from a student's perspective, and considering that you are graduating this year, you have a job as a market research specialist, and you have a qualification of a BTech biotechnology graduate. So how did NIT University give you a research bent of mind and help you choose the careers that you're into?
Okay, if we first look into the biotechnology aspect, there is this very stereotypical approach to this field that if you go into biology or biotechnology, then you are destined to go into that typical research that we know, that, dealing with bacteria and incubators, being in the laboratory for like 24/7 or something. So I had my mindset when I joined NIT University. My mindset was set in that way, that I am going into research or I am just deep into academics. Honestly, I didn't really have much of academics in mind. I really just wanted to pursue into research or such. And if academics followed, then I thought that I would just, accept it. But throughout my course in NIT University for the 4 years, what I have noticed that it's a 360-degree development. It's not focused on one thing. We have this important course, research and development course, where we are given projects, like real hands-on projects where we need to work upon. Then we have extremely beautifully, filled laboratories with advanced devices and everything. So through the course of my time, I began to realize that I am not really looking for typical research that we know. I wanted to do something out of my comfort zone, but I wanted to, stay connected to my roots, that is biotechnology, because I really love this subject. I'm really interested. And then I discovered that biotechnology has got various roots. It's not just one particular subject that we think biology to be. It has got microbiology, it has got genetic engineering, it has got computational biology. So what happened through my course of time, I started developing interest in numerous subjects. So when I was standing in my 4th year, I was confused that which stream do I want to go? What am I really interested in? So what I found out, my faculty members and my university helped me in this to find a field where I can stay connected to all of my field of interest while pursue my dream of having a job. I really didn't want to go into academics as of now. I wanted to have a job. So my faculty members and NIT helped me to find out this really unique position called market research specialist in healthcare. So what this field helps me is that we assist the big pharmaceutical, the medical devices companies to launch their products, to assist them into researching the market, or like helping them to find out the technical glitches, the technological fault that they're having, which is resisting their entry into market. So this is something that requires technical idea. You cannot do it. A simple person who does not have a background in biotechnology cannot just go to a big pharmaceutical company and assist them in providing solutions that why their formulation isn't working in the market. For that, you need to have technical idea on that. Or you cannot just go to a big medical device company and say that, oh, this is the glitch in your technical problem, and that is why your device is not being used by the doctors. For that, again, you need a technical idea. So here I would like to say that my field assisted me in this scenario because I have an idea of this entire structure. I have idea about the genetic structure, I have idea about genetic engineering, microbiology, biotechnology. So the field that I have chosen right now is an amalgamation of all the knowledge that I have gained across these 4 years and apply it into market research. So as you can see, biotechnology has allowed me to find a way, a career that is linked to my subject, but it is different in a unique way. It is not that stereotypical research, or it is not that stereotypical academics that you go into. It is an amalgamation of both. So that's what I find is really unique in my case.
Thank you so much, Shumili. I have, quite a few people in the audience who are wanting to know what are the specializations in computer science, in ECE that are the preferred specializations. Can I please request Prajwal and Ayushi to quickly give us a few tips on this? Prajwal?
Hello. Yeah.
Or Ayushi?
Yes. Thank you. So at the time when I was there at the university, we were given the choice between data science and cyber security. Personally, what I feel, there were a lot of options, but what has inspired me to take the field of data science were majorly what I had learned in the past 2 years since we choose our area of concentration in third year. Like whatever knowledge and whatever projects that I had done, with that background in mind, I chose data science as my field, because I was particularly involved in a project with a US based entrepreneur, and this project was actually artificial intelligence augmented chatbot. So as being a developer in that project and using the concepts of artificial intelligence and using the concepts of using the data to get insights, these kind of experiences in NIT University helped me understand my own interest in the field, and that's why I chose data science as my area of concentration. And whatever options basically you have, it all depends on your particular choice and your interest in that particular field. But all my fellow batchmates and through my my batchmates who are placed in different companies who were a part of different area of concentration, what I have understood is there's scope in all of these areas of concentrations, and it totally depends on your interest, and further on you aim for that kind of placement depending on your area of concentration. Thank you. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, thank you, Ayushi. Prajwal, would you want to add something to it? Prajwal, I have specific questions on ECE specializations. Do we do specializations in cloud computing, or what are the best specializations to choose in to get into robotics? Do we have Prajwal here? Okay, never mind. We'll come back to him. I have Rohit, Gaurav, and Vikas from the audience who are wanting to know how to apply for a BTech program at NIT University. I'd take that answer for all of you who are wanting to apply for a BTech program at NIT University. We offer you 3 programs: a BTech degree in computer science, a BTech degree in ECE, and a BTech degree in biotechnology. All 3 courses which are represented in today's session. You are requested to visit our website and check for your eligibility against the admission section. Fill up the application form, which you can download from the website and upload your documents. There is an interaction process that we'll be conducting for all our students. Admissions are currently on. You simply have to choose the date and the time slot for an admission interaction process, what we call as an AIP, and appear for that. Once you successfully clear the AIP, then there will be an offer of admission which will get extended to you. I hope that answers. Do we have Prajwal back? Okay. So Vikas, if I can request you to again maybe reinstate a little bit about the popular specializations in ECE.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Monisha, the candidate who is asking this question is focusing on to 2 parts, as I understand. One is about cloud computing. Is that a specialization in ECE area? The second part is, in order to go towards robotics, which specialization in ECE area will help? Have I understood that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so the first part of the question goes towards cloud computing. So, well, cloud computing is a major focus area in computer science engineering rather than electronics and communication engineering. As I shared earlier, I'll repeat the specialization areas. That is, it goes into 2 parts. One is communication and another one is the hardware part, that is electronics. So, communication and signal processing being the first specialization, then wireless communication focusing on to 4G, 5G technology, VLSI and embedded system, robotics and IoT specialization focusing dedicatedly on hardware side. Another upcoming area which is emerging, which is of renewable energy and electrical vehicle design. In last, that would be data science program. The specialization that we offer for merging these 2 branches, EC as well as CSE. So cloud computing is generally gets offered by CSE area, that is one. In order to go towards robotics, which specialization one should choose? Well, there are 2 options. One student can go via path of VLSI and embedded system, which is where the person gets to learn about the large scale integration circuit design, at the same time how microprocessor controller works and how the coding will take place. And the second area adjacent to that gets again focused on robotics and IoT specialization. So that way Internet of Things, which Professor Ishwaran talked about earlier. So these are 2 specializations which helps really moving towards robotics area. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it suffices. And Vishnu and Khushi and Vikas from the audience want to know about artificial intelligence. Is that offered as a specialization?
Yes, I'll take the question. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is offered as a specialization. And one must understand that there are more specializations in relating to data. So when you focus on artificial intelligence, essentially you're trying to understand information systems that can look at patterns of information coming out of various either IoT devices or business realities, and try to make meaning out of that and develop software system which can imitate how a human being thinks, and that's where the artificial intelligence and machine learning is all about.
Thank you, Professor Ishwaran. I have a few questions related to NU being a residential university. Why is the hostel mandatory? I can answer that question. So just for our audience and their parents, NU by Design is created as a fully residential university, and the intention is to be able to create a very intense learning ecosystem which functions 24/7. So therefore, all our students stay on campus, and also our a lot of our teaching staff, faculty, deans, and area heads also reside on campus or in the closest vicinity. So just so that the students can have an interaction with their faculty, even within the classroom, even outside the classroom, the faculty is available for doubt clearance, for any amount of mentoring or an extra coaching. And a lot of activities outside the classroom are also encouraged, whether it is sports or whether it is extracurricular activities. And therefore, to be able to have a holistic focus on the personality development of the students who come in, the university has been intentionally created as a residential university. And last but not the least, the most important part, the commute, which gets very, very tiring today for any of the cities and the towns. Just to avoid that and to allow students a holistic opportunity to develop themselves, the intention is to be able to have everybody on campus. And to add to it, a safety measure, which I have a lot of questions on, the facility for the social distancing guidelines for this year specifically is ensuring that we are extending single occupancy housing for all our students on campus in the residential facility, so that safe distancing guidelines can be practiced for everybody. I hope that answers the questions. Okay, now I have Sunjeet, who wants to know if there is a course in aerospace engineering currently at NIT University, or if it is being prepared. I could request Professor Sudeep Sanyal to kindly take this. I think this is arriving from the fact that we have a leader, which is Dr. Kasturi Rangan, who's at the head of the institution as the chancellor. So could I request Professor Sudeep Sanyal to please answer this?
Okay. Okay, thanks, Monisha. As of right now, we do not have any plans of extending our program for BTech Aerospace Engineering. So that's not on the cards right now, primarily because the type of setup which is required, the type of laboratory which is required, so that requires a lot of planning. And just to go back to the previous question, so people were asking about the campus and what sort of measures we have taken and so on. So I would just like to add one more small point. I would request all those students who are curious about these things to please visit our website. What we, since travel has become a bit of a problem nowadays, so what we have done is we have created a virtual tour of the campus. You'll be able to find the link on our website. So if you just drill down, you'll be able to see what our campus actually looks like, what sort of precautions have been taken, and also exactly how beautiful this campus actually is. It's one of the most beautiful campuses in the entire country, and that's official. So,
thank you so much.
I would like all of you to actually go through that virtual tour and look at it. And by the way, you can also see Vikas Upadhyay out here. So he was one of the main architects of that virtual tour. So I think you'll enjoy that one. Okay, that's all.
Thank you very much, Professor Sanyal. And if I could just add to it, for all our students and the parents in the audience who want to visit the campus before you take a decision about proceeding with admissions, you can visit the campus. You can get on the website like Professor Sanyal described. You can take a look at the tour, which is the video tour of the actual campus and not a graphical depiction. And you can also book a campus tour by going online and choosing a date for yourself, or by getting in touch with the regional admission offices. So I have a lot of questions, but just for the sake of time, I will take the last two questions. Professor Ishwaran, I have a lot of questions on placements, how important are internships, and what does NIT University do to ensure that they maintain 100% placement that we have been talking about and our students are very, very encouraged about. So quickly, could I have some remarks from you on this, please?
Yes. So the important thing here is that the ultimate goal of doing a 4-year course is obviously to get placed and get on to your life with a job. And that is very important. So one of the things that we enable is, apart from having a very modern pedagogy and the facilities to teach people, we also have a mechanism by which in the 8th semester of the BTech course, students go for an industrial practice. And what this means is that they spend 6 months with the industry, working with the industry as if they're an employee, but it is an academic process. So there is an academic monitoring. At the same time, they experience the industry and the industry experiences them. This allows them to mutually understand each other and make up their minds as to whether they can work with each other fruitfully after the 6 months. And we find that nearly 70% so far we have seen where people accept the students because they have understood the students very well. And the students have also started liking their job in a manner where they anticipated. Then there are quite a few students who go abroad because they go for higher studies. Then we encourage them to do higher studies. We help them plot out where they would like to go, whom they can talk to, and so on. And there are a few who like to do their entrepreneurship, and we help them to uh, get their goals onto that. We train them on how to be an entrepreneur. We have a Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and I'm sure we can have a look at it in the website. And this way, what happens is there are students who are enabled by the industrial practice to get more or less a job which they want. There are a few who are not wanting to do a job in the industrial practice. We assist them to a process by which they can opt in for placement services, and we offer opportunities for them to take placement in a desired type of job they're looking for. And that is how we assist people in placement services.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions which are coming to me on the subjects which are important to apply for a BTech program. So I'll take those just to inform the audience that the eligibility criteria for applying for a BTech program at NIT University, like I mentioned, we have 3 streams. One of them is computer science, then ECE and biotechnology. For all 3 streams, the eligibility criteria for subjects is physics, mathematics, and English as the 3 compulsory subjects at class 12th level for computer science and ECE program. And for the biotechnology program, it is physics, English, and either biology or mathematics. Your evaluation is done on the basis of your class 10 marks, your performance in class 12, and also your performance in the admission interaction process. Like I mentioned to you, that the admission interaction process is specially designed to ensure that we evaluate you holistically as the individual you are, rather than the academic representation only of you. And therefore, the intent behind the AIP, as we call it, is to be able to allow you to present yourself, not for the subjects that you represent, but also for the personality that you are or the aspirations that you have. You can find further details on the website, and you can also download and upload your download the form, application form, and upload your documents there. There are also merit scholarships. Many of you are asking from the audience. So there are scholarships which are allotted to you on the basis of your school performance and also on the basis of your interaction in the AIP process. We have merit scholarships which are available currently because the admission season is on. I'm requesting all of you to kindly find the details on the website or reach out to our regional admission offices. So I hope I've been able to answer all the questions. We've come to the end of the session today, and I'd like to thank all of our speakers. all of our professors, and definitely to our 3 alumni here who were, I think, the most confident and the most inspiring of the lot. And an even bigger thanks to the wonderful audience of our future Newtons and their parents. I hope we were able to resolve your queries. In case we missed answering some of your questions, we'll be more than happy to take them offline through our regional admission teams who will be in touch with you to resolve your questions. And last but not the least, on behalf of the entire team here, we look forward to welcoming you to NU. And I hope you're as excited as us to begin your journey. All the best and good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.